Have you ever been a victim of a scam? You're not alone. In 2019, there were 1.7 million fraud complaints recorded in the United States. That could be just the icing on the cake. One study suggested only 14% of scam cases are reported because they felt embarrassed, felt it was futile, or didn't know what to do. In this week's show, we're going to take a look at that. The evidence presented at the trial established that 65-year-old Anton Paul Drago orchestrated a large-scale Nigerian oil investment fraud scheme from at least 2004 through 2012. Drago told investors that the money they invested would be used for legal fees and business expenses to fund production, refinement, shipment of the crude oil from Nigeria to the Bahamas, along with co-conspirator Joseph Rizzuti, formerly of Panama City, Florida. Drago also told investors that the money they invested would fund an oil refinery in the Bahamas. Drago lied to investors about his background, falsely claiming that he was an engineer and an expert in the oil industry for over 30 years, working worldwide. He falsely told some investors that he was the grandson of the Shell Oil founder and heir to a $500 million trust of Nigerian oil investment deal. None of these claims were true. Today's show isn't about that. It's about the people he left in his destructive path of lies. 15 years ago, a single mother of two met a man who seemed to be Mr. Right before she was caught up in a whirlwind romance.
And it went really fast.
Yeah.
To where it went from, him showing up
It's not always gullible people who fall for this social catfish scamming.
I'm a smart professional woman who plays by the books, and and by the way, I'm the perfect person to be catfished.
You're
I'm
right.
focused on my kids, I'm focused on business, I'm focused on doing the right thing, building my reputation in the community, all that stuff. And that's what he was looking for, somebody that would believe in him, because nobody believed in him, and he had a sad, hard story, and and they all do. They all have this victim story.
That's right.
I was adopted. He says, I'm adopted. Nobody loved me. I went into the military at a young age. Lie. I fought in Vietnam and I tried to be the best person I could be. Lie. It was like all these things, one after another. And you're thinking, because you're a good person and you're play by the book, you're like, oh, that guy needs a break. He's a good person. He's a nice person. And this is where they pull you in.
Right.
They pull on you being a glasses half full person. You're a person
That's
who
right.
believes, that you want to give people an opportunity to succeed, that you work hard and you're busy doing a lot of things, so you
Right.
don't have time to dig into the minutia. And he also made my life very pleasant. But the big thing is that I learned from it is a con man needs two things to survive. They need people around them that legitimize them.
That's it. That's the hook.
And that's the hook.
That's the hook.
They need a good, solid person by their side, and then a small group of friends that are all good, solid people. And he had those. When I first met him,
Yep.
he brought down friends from Oregon, and these were good people. One of them was a sheriff. One of them worked for UPS. Another one, nice people. Just grounded, good, salt of the earth people. You're like, well, he can't be so bad. He's got friends like this, right?
That's right.
So those were his legitimizing, that was the legitimizing group. And then the second was he uses that legitimizing group to move him into circles that he can prey on. And my sons went to private school. He was at all their games, not rooting the kids on, but that's what you saw. He was looking for the other parents that were rooting their kids on that owned major corporations or were involved in big deals and things like that he could get close to and buddy up to. And that's what he was doing.
To make matters worse, a little-known law made her situation worse.
No law in Nevada, and there are in many, many other states,
Right.
that says when your spouse goes to jail, that you can automatically divorce them.
There's no law.
There's no law in Nevada that says that. So I had to divorce him the good old-fashioned way. He had to participate. And he didn't want to participate. He didn't want to, he postponed trial dates. He went out of his way to, just throw as much crap into the system as he could to make this divorce process as long as it could be. It took me over a year to get divorced from him, like a non-stop over a year. And when it finally happened and we had because all we needed was one court date, okay?
Right.
One trial date in front of the judge. All we could do was, by the time I got to that point, he had said that he'd given me, the hundreds of thousands of dollars in jewelry. He didn't. That he had given me, he'd paid for this house. He didn't. That he did all these things. So I had to have a checkoff list. Well, I had to bring in my first husband, the father of my boys, had to come in and testify for me that all the jewelry and everything I had either was from our first marriage or I bought on my own. So when the judge saw that my first husband had to come in to testify against the second husband, it was kind of crazy. And so he finally saw it roll out and he gave me the divorce, but he told me, he goes, don't do anything crazy, like go get married again. I was like, that ain't gonna happen. But he's like, he can appeal in 30 days. And did he not appeal?
He appealed.
He appealed. I was able to hold my head up high because when people would look at me and go, really? You didn't know anything that was going on? Really? And I have to explain to them that the FBI went back to 74 when they were investigating him. They found like a bounce check in 1974. They went back all the way to 74 when they were investigating him. They went back to 97 when they were investigating me. Because I was
Well,
his
you were
wife.
investigated
I was
too.
equally investigated right along with him. And they couldn't find a single thing on me. And I look at most people and I'm like, can you go back 20 years in your life? Or at the time it was, what was that? Yeah, it was 20 years.
20
Can you
years.
go back 20 years in your life by the IRS, the FBI, and the VA and come out clean?
65-year-old Anton Paul Drago was convicted in March 2016 of all 10 counts of indictment after an 8-day jury trial and was sentenced to 25 years in jail. In addition to the terms of imprisonment, Drago was sentenced to pay $2.3 million in restitution and to serve 5 years of supervised release following his prison term. Today, online makes it easy to do a little research on the person you date or plan to do business with. Do your homework to prevent heartache later. To report fraud or scam, visit usa.gov/stop-scams-frauds. Keep your eyes open. Thanks for joining us.